You have to forgive to move on. That's what people say. It's what we hear in movies, in books, in conversations about healing and growth. But what if I don't want to? What if I don't feel the need to forgive at all? What if I've already moved on without forgiving? This isn't the kind of topic I usually talk about in this channel because our content is about travel, adventure, and embracing life to the fullest. But part of truly living means confronting the things that shape us, the experiences that have left their mark. And for me, one of those things is this idea of forgiveness. It's a word that carries so much weight, a concept almost that people claim is necessary for healing, for closure. But is it really? For much of my life, I've been on the receiving end of injustice. Not to play victim here, but this is not just unfairness in the everyday sense, but deep cutting wounds, rejection from society, from family, from people I thought I could trust, the mental exhaustion of hiding my true self, the humiliation of being ridiculed, the pain of being treated like something was inherently wrong with me for simply existing as I am. And yet here I am. I've built a life. I've met incredible people, formed deep friendships, lost others, been hurt, and if I'm being honest, I've hurt others too. That's part of human nature. In some ways, I've carried resentment. In other ways, I've developed understanding and empathy. But does that mean I have to forgive? See, that's where I struggle because, truth be told, I don't feel the need to forgive. My actions are real, they've shaped me, and so I just move on without necessarily forgiving, without feeling obligated to release anyone from the pain they caused me. But where does that leave me? The word forgiveness has a long history. It's an ancient concept, but its meaning has changed dramatically over time. It comes from the Old English word forgiafon, which means to completely give or grant. Originally, it meant to let go of resentment, often in a legal or religious context. In early Christianity, forgiveness was something God granted to sinners, something believers were expected to extend to others. It was tied to salvation. But other cultures saw it differently. Like in ancient Greece, for example, philosophers like Aristotle linked forgiveness to moral virtue. In Confucian traditions in China, it wasn't about absolution, it was about harmony. In indigenous cultures, justice was not about punishment or forgiveness, but about restoring balance. And over time, forgiveness became a universal ideal. In religion, it's framed as a path to spiritual growth. In psychology, it's viewed as essential for emotional healing. In relationships, it's often seen as the key to repair. In trauma recovery, it's debated, right? Some say it's necessary, while others argue it's not required for moving forward. But does this universal push for forgiveness actually serve everyone? Psychologists have long studied the effects of forgiveness. Research in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine shows that forgiveness is linked to lower stress, anxiety, and depression, leading to better mental health. People who forgive tend to experience emotional relief. But here's where it gets interesting. Forced or insincere forgiveness can actually be harmful, right? So Dr. Everett Worthington, a leading expert on forgiveness, argues that it's not about excusing harm, but about excusing ourselves from resentment. He also acknowledges that some people find peace without forgiveness, simply by creating distance from those who hurt them. This aligns with a study in the Journal of Positive Psychology, where Dr. Julie Juola Exline found that many individuals experience greater well-being through acceptance rather than forgiveness. She says, letting go of resentment does not always require forgiveness. It may instead involve a conscious decision to disengage and prioritize one's own healing. And that makes me wonder, if forgiveness isn't necessary for peace, why is it treated as an obligation? When forgiveness doesn't feel right, we need to look at real-world examples. First, a survivor of betrayal. Imagine someone who was in an emotionally abusive relationship, manipulated and gaslighted for years. They finally leave and build a new life, but society tells them they should forgive their ex to truly move on. Do they have to? If they've let go of resentment, isn't that enough? Second, a victim of discrimination. Many LGBTQIA+ individuals face rejection from their families. Some choose to forgive and rebuild relationships, while others recognize that forgiveness wouldn't change the past or protect them from future harm. Instead, they set boundaries and live authentically without forgiving. Third, a friend who was wronged. A lot of us can relate. Say you had a close friend who betrayed you, lied, spread rumors, used you. Do you have to forgive them to find peace, or is it enough to acknowledge the hurt, learn from it, and simply move on? These are questions I've asked myself time and time again. What relationship experts say is that forgiveness is often seen as the key to healing, but not all of them agree. Renowned psychotherapist Esther Perel suggests that some wounds don't need forgiveness to heal. Sometimes the best way forward is simply acknowledging pain and choosing to move on without reconciling. And that, I think, resonates well with me, because I really don't feel obligated to forgive those who have hurt me. What I do feel is the need to reclaim my power, to live fully, to not let their actions define my future. So again, where does that leave me? Truth be told, I'm still figuring it out. I don't carry the same weight of pain that I once did, but I also don't feel the need to say, I forgive you. And maybe that's okay. Forgiveness, as I see it, is deeply personal. Maybe it's necessary for some, maybe it's not for others. What matters to me is that I'm here, I'm living, I'm not defined by what was done to me, and whether or not I forgive, that's my decision to make. Maybe forgiveness isn't about setting others free. Maybe it's about setting myself free. And maybe, just maybe, moving on is enough. So how do I know if I need to forgive? Because, society conditions us to believe forgiveness is a moral obligation, that it's necessary for peace. But is that really true, or it's just a story we've been told? Because if forgiveness was the only way to heal, wouldn't that mean everyone who has ever found happiness had to forgive first? But we know that's not true. People rebuild their lives. They find joy and move forward without ever forgiving. Maybe healing isn't about forgiveness at all. Maybe it's about what comes after the pain. And this notion that I need to perform forgiveness is often framed as an action. But if it's truly about me, why does it have to involve any kind of performance? Right? Maybe what I'm practicing is detachment, not forgiveness. Maybe I'm choosing indifference, not absolution. Maybe I'm healing in my own way without calling it forgiveness at all. And if that's the case, then I don't need to label my healing. I just need to live. Again, where does that leave me? It leaves me here in this moment. I don't feel anger like I used to. I don't carry the same weight of past wounds, but I also don't feel the need to say, I forgive you. But what I feel is clarity. Some people may call that forgiveness, but to me, it's just living. And maybe that's enough. So if you've ever been told you must forgive to heal, I want you to ask yourself, do you feel broken without forgiveness? Do you feel different? Because if you feel whole, even without forgiveness, maybe, just maybe, you never needed to forgive in the first place. Thank you for watching, and I'm curious to hear your comments about this very important topic, so please feel free to leave comments. And once again, peace and blessings to you. Don't forget to watch our other videos you can see here.